I mean, I don't have a car, but I'll let you tell me.
I mean, if I blew out all my tires and had some effects and they're like, yeah, it'd be like $1,000 for all this, I'd be like, well, you're not gouging me. Like, probably could be better if I went to Costco, but this is not horrible. So the problem is, you know what's interesting too? The drifter has money. He just has a credit card. They don't take it because there's no cash, there's no internet. So he gets a job cleaning Willy's Wonderland, and if he does that, his car will be fixed for him. And they actually do that, which is random. But yeah, so he goes into Willy's to clean it, and he has to fight 8 animatronic puppets. Meanwhile, these 18 to 21-year-olds are going to go burn the place down because they know it's evil. Everybody in the town knows it's evil. And that's what I like about this film, where very few of these teenagers register, right? I like Liv. I like that she knife fights the siren. That Kaylee Cowan at least adds a weird personality to her thing. And I liked her relationship. I liked her relationship with her boyfriend. He's like, when we have kids, and like they had a weird little lived-in relationship. The other kids don't really register as characters. But I like that these kids didn't get into trouble because they were idiots. Well, they were idiots, but they're out of their league. But they're going to burn this place down, but they don't want the janitor to die. But the janitor won't leave. So then eventually they get dragged in and then they die. So it's not, they don't register as characters, 80% of them, but I like that they're not criminals or, yeah, does that make sense?
It does. So you're falling back on this like 80s slasher trope of like the teenagers need to commit a sin to be killed.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do commit a sin, honestly. So they treat this as a field trip and not a mission. And as a result of that, they end up getting killed.
And Liv tells them not to do that, which I love,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I like the agency of Liv, because she knife fights Siren and lives. And she's like, I stabbed her, but she'll be back. And then she fights the night and she's surviving. It's an interesting, like, I know that the actress isn't given much to do, but I like the idea of the character. I think Emily Tossa is fine in the role. I just like the agency. I've never seen a teenager knife a siren and live. It was very refreshing, certain aspects of this movie.
Yeah. So some of the things that I want to chat about my expectations, and so I thought this was going to be more of a horror movie going into it, and it's not a horror movie, and I know that's difficult to understand. It is a horror movie if you are a possessed animatronic ghost. I guess I should say. It's the idea of
that's funny
typically, I mean, I thought this was going to be Nicolas Cage running around being chased by these monsters, and it's the complete opposite. It's Nicolas Cage running around chasing the monsters, and I have never seen a movie like that. It is a reverse horror movie. That's like the theme that I keep going back to, and that's wild because it's the opposite of what you're taught, or how you're taught to write a story.
Yeah,
like in a different story, and probably like one that was more traditional. It would be the animatronics being hunted down by a psycho Nick Cage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like the play on expectations for sure. I dug that. And did you like how physically dominant he was over these puppets? Because I like when he's handcuffed, and the next scene we headbutts, kicks one. The next scene we see, he's sitting on one of the siren's head, and then he snaps her neck with his legs, and then he just busts out of his handcuffs. But I think his alarm goes off, and he has to go drink some soda and play some pinball.
You mean make love to that pinball machine?
Yeah. And I gotta tell you, I don't ever feel like Cage is exploited in this movie. He has no freakouts, but I think the pinball and drinking, it feels natural, man. It feels organic. And I really like that about his performance. I really liked it. Do you think people will be disappointed by the lack of a freakout?
That's a great question. I'm a huge Cage fan, and I love this film. I love him in this film. Yep. And here's why. It's different. But I wish people understood how difficult it is to have, how I put this. This is very difficult for me to get out. He holds this film together. Mm-hmm. And he has an aura throughout it that holds this film together without saying a single word. Think about that. Like, you know how hard that is? Like, this just shows that he is a very capable actor and able to do a whole bunch of stuff, even if some of that stuff is not saying a single word.
That's beautiful. And did you hear what director Kevin Lewis had to say about him?
No.
Actually, Kevin Lewis just nearly died because of COVID, and he survived, which is kind of, he wrote a nice story about surviving it. But he was talking about Nick Cage, and when the first day of shooting, Cage looked at the director and went, "We're in it now," and smiled at him. And that was one of the few words he said. And then the last day of filming, he looked at the director and said, "Hey, good luck with your movie." And then he left. But he was just a consummate, he did all the stunts, all the, like, you know, pool cue fighting, pool stick fighting. But the director said how professional and committed and kind he was. And that shows in this role. He's not phoning it in. I watched a movie recently with Rachel Brosnahan on Amazon. I forget what the name is. It's really good. But people were saying that she underacts and she's boring. But I found it to be a thrilling, subtle, nuanced performance. And that's what I'm getting from Cage in this movie. He's not phoning it in, David. I keep saying that. I'm like a broken record saying this, but a very long way of saying that he was committed to this, and he doesn't wink at the camera. There's you never see him breaking the fourth wall. He's very eccentric, but it's something that almost, like you said, he's a precision driver, so he sticks to his schedule. It all makes sense to me. It never pulled me out of the movie once.
Yeah, same. And let's think about why he took this role, why Nick Cage took this role. And if you're asking me, it's because it's something different.
Yeah.
Like, he's known for having these freakouts, known for his acting ability, his words, frankly, his choices. And this is an opportunity for him to do something completely different in a genre that I wholeheartedly think he loves. I think he unironically loves B movies, and this was an opportunity for him to try something different.
And he produced it, so he loves it.
Yeah. You know, I think this is a good time for us to bring up Geo Parsons. Yeah. He is the script writer. Did you read anything about him in your research?
Well, so I know that he was a writer, and they told him to kind of expand out with his career, and then he ended up writing this script. He wrote plays, and then this ended up on the Blood List for years, and then they eventually got it made. That's kind of what I know about Geo Parsons.
Yeah, I listened to 2 podcasts with him talking about this, and both podcasts basically talk about the same 3 or 4 things, and he does the same story. So, Geo, if you're listening, you have your PR down, and that is a compliment. But he was an actor/writer, and he did exactly what you said. He put this movie together put the script together as a way to star himself. He was going to play the janitor, and it just sort of languished for years and years and years, and he couldn't get it done. It took about a decade, and then someone told him, like, hey, like, maybe you should try with a different actor, and then it'll finally get made. And he agreed, and the only actor they wanted was Nicolas Cage.
Wow.
And he's in this interview, I can't remember which one, but he said, you know, I only wanted to give my baby to someone who I know could really do it. And their number one was Nicolas Cage. The only person they gave it to was Nicolas Cage. Guess what? Nicolas Cage did it. That's amazing.
And he respected the material. I don't know how much changed or how much he talked about changed on the podcast, but you could tell that Cage embraced the material and didn't take it over. Because you do watch certain movies where a major A-list actor will get a hold of a script and it changes for them. I feel like Cage took the script, bonded with it, and then made it. I think he respected the director and writer on this. Is that the vibe you got from the podcast episodes?
They talked about that. Yeah, they talked about that. They talked about first. They said that once they got Nick Cage involved, they started going around trying to get money, which is a long, difficult process, and they were getting studio notes like, you need to change X, Y, and Z, and basically Cage was like, if you want me involved, I am making this script. This is the script you're going to get.
Wow.
And he was standing up for Geo Parsons and everyone else. And clearly I might be like exaggerating a little bit, but that's what they talked about, the main gist of it. And then the other thing that changed, the name for this was originally Wally's World. And in the interview that I listened to, Geo Parsons said, if anyone asks, always give a crazy story about why it changed from Wally's World to Willy's World. So let's really quickly make up a crazy story. Let's say okay. I had this idea and I'm already fumbling it.
Because Wally World is Lampoon.
Well,
right?
It's not just that. So I do have a theory on this.
Oh yeah,
but I'm still trying to come up with a crazy story of why it changed, just so we can honor Geo Parsons' request.
So the change from Willy to Wally.
Yeah. So it's pedantic. It's like it's just a small thing, but he literally said, like, if someone asks you and they don't know, just make something up that's hilarious. And I'm like,
I think all right. So how about this? For me, there's when the movie, let's see, when Tammy and the T-Rex came out, which we did the episode on. Actually, Jay Cluett, my Deep Blue Sea podcast co-host, just watched Tammy and the T-Rex and listened to our episode and loved it, David. I just want to give you a heads up.
Thank you.
But they were talking about, it was Tammy and the Teenage T-Rex, and then something happened, and then it became Tammy and the T-Rex. And no one knows why. So I'm just thinking it went from Wally's World to, Wally's Wonderland, or to
Wally's Wonderland to Willy's Wonderland.
So I think it might have been a typo.
Oh, I mean, I thought that he just was a really big fan of the Wahlbergs, and he was a. And then someone told him, he was like, the Wahlbergs are problematic, and he's like, I guess I'll change it to Willy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Do we know anybody bad named Will? Like they like Willie Mays Hayes from Major League.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we honored the tradition of making up a fake reason, but I'm going to give you the real reason now, Mark.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So Geo Parsons said that it's just legal. Like, someone else already had Wally's World. And so he didn't say it outright, but he intimated to it in both podcasts. And I was like, well, I wonder where Wally's Wonderland comes up. And my guess is that it's from Wall-E Weasel from The Simpsons.
Whoa.
Yeah. So if you remember, Wall-E Weasel is a purple weasel, and it's a knockoff of Chuck E. Cheese. And so I'm just thinking that the main character, the main bad guy in Willy's Wonderland is Willy the Weasel. It's very hard to say. And in the previous script, it would have been Wally the Weasel, and Wally the Weasel is from The Simpsons. So that's probably what happened there.
Oh my gosh. You nailed it.
Yeah. And then the names of, like, some of the characters changed too. Not the characters, but the animatronics changed. Some of them. I don't think all of them did, though.
I mean, I love these monsters. Hey, so how about this? Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, I want to rank the deaths of each of the monsters, and then we'll get into our favorite moments. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks, and we got to do this, David. We got to talk about okay, I guess we don't have to go through the killing of all 8 of the monsters, or the puppets, but let's talk about our 2 favorite deaths. Puppet deaths in this. How's that sound?
I'm happy to do that. I think our top 2 are going to be the same, and I would encourage us to do the top 3, because the third one I think might be different.
I mean, my number 1 is I'm jumping on you here, or should I do 3? What should I do?
Let's do 3. Let's do 3 and move up.
Okay, so this is a two-parter. I love when Liv fights Tito the turtle.
So good. It's so good.
But what I love, though, Tito comes at her, and then she just smashes Tito in the head, and Tito just falls to the ground. And then Liv, who's a badass in this movie, just starts pulverizing Tito's balls. I mean, just whap, 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 whap. I mean, just an insane amount of groin strikes to this turtle. Then later on, when they're driving away, which the Chevy might be magical because they bust up Tito explodes, and then the car's fine. So it's interesting about the car. Very Drive Angry-esque. But I just like that Liv popped it in the head. Like, there's moments in this movie that didn't play how I expected. And I like that. And I like that Liv shivved the siren, and I like that she just destroyed a animatronic turtle's nether regions, which makes me laugh. So that's my number 3.
Yeah, and no mas.
Doesn't he say my balls? Doesn't he go, oh, my balls?
I think he does.
That means this turtle feels.
I know that the some of them do,